All right, so today we're going to go over lesson 3's group questions. And for question 1, it says input silences the paternal alleles, and you're supposed to suppose that A is the Angelin syndrome's allele, while capital A is the non-disease allele. So what I've done, I've marked the male alleles and the female alleles, since the paternally inherited alleles are silenced. So in my box here, I just have the alleles that would be shown as the phenotype. And then right here we have all the genotypes that occur, but the phenotypes, since the males are silenced, are just going to be half Engelmann's and half normal. Then for part B, it wants to know if there's a cross being done between a heterozygous male and recessive female, and what are the genotypes and phenotypes of the progeny. So for this one, I did the same thing with the color coding, and it ends up that they're going to be all Engelmann's, but the genotype's going to be half and half. And for part C, it's saying that there's a woman that has triple X syndrome, so she has 3 chromosomes, but the X inactivation centers have been deleted from 2 of the X chromosomes in each of her cells. So they're asking how many bar bodies would be found in each of this woman's cells. And there'd be 0, because you need to have at least 2 X inactivation centers to make a bar body. For part D, they want to know if you isolate a cell from a female cat with 2 X chromosomes, however, the T6 genes on one of the X chromosomes, on each of the X chromosomes, are non-functional. And so they want to know how many bar bodies are expected to be found in the cell. And there's going to be 2, because the T6 gene kind of like cancels out the XIS from coding the chromosome, making it into a bar body. So since there's nothing stopping it, there's going to become 2, and then that cell will be inactive for chromosomes. For part 2, this is just the fill-in one, so I capitalized the what they wanted, that blank space, and so for number 2C is the only one really I have to explain. And they want, there's a gene called IGF2, but it's really long to put, so I just made them pluses and minuses. And the minuses are for recessive and pluses for the dominant. And if you're recessive, then you're going to be a dwarf, and if you're not, then you're normal. And the maternal allele is silenced for this gene. And so I have here in blue the paternal alleles, which would be the ones that were the phenotype. And so we're going to end up with a half dwarf and half normal. And then here are more of the fill in the blanks. And if there's any viewers who have any questions about it, you can just pause the video and then see my reasoning for those things. They're mostly pretty self-explanatory. All right. So I think it was Noah that was going to go next. So I'll mute myself and then unmute Noah so he can present his.
Cool. So I have question 3, which says a woman's father has an orthonine transcarbamylase deficiency, or OTD, an X-linked recessive disorder producing mental deterioration if not properly treated. The woman's mother is homozygous and is unaffected. So for these questions, I actually wanted to use the whiteboard. Oh, hat. Ta-da! Whiteboard. to solve this, so that way, you know, it's easier to see. Okay. And so it says, what is the genotype of the woman's father? So we want the father's genotype. And what is the genotype of the woman's mother? So we also want the mother's. So we go about this by saying this is an X-linked recessive disorder. And so we know that for it to appear, you have to have the little x, not the big X. All right? And the father has it, so he has to have little x. And males are XY, so his other chromosome is a Y. The mother says it's homozygous and is unaffected, and X, so she's dominant in both genes. All right. Now in B, it says if the woman has children with a man who does not have OTD, what is the chance their first child will be a son in OTD? Well, to find this, we had to find out their daughter, who is now the mother of these children, and find out their genotype. So she's female, so it will be XX. So she gets one X chromosome from her mother, and there's only one possibility, so it's just dominant. And her father is recessive, so she receives the recessive gene. So she's heterozygous for this, which means if she crosses with a man who doesn't have it, what is the chance the first child with a son will be OTD? Well, because we know it's a son, the sons always inherit the father's Y gene. So when we make our Punnett square, we have the Y. And then when we have the mother, we have her two possibilities, which she's heterozygous, so she is a dominant and recessive, which means that the two combinations that are possible is dominant, which means there's a 1 in 2 chance, or 50%, that their child will have this disease, or disorder, sorry. Now, in C, it says, identify the genotype of a male with whom a woman could produce a daughter with OTD. With the male who doesn't have it, and it wasn't possible. So I'm going to assume that the father does have the disease. So just like her father has the XY, the father of this child will also have it. Daughter is still heterozygous. And so a simple Punnett square. It's a daughter, so it has to be XX, so we don't have to care about the Y. And so we have big X, and a little x, which means it is possible for their daughter to have it if the male has it recessively. Now, if the male doesn't carry that gene, it wouldn't be possible. If we give the male capital XY and make these two dominant, we see from over here that the daughter cannot receive the disorder. So finally, for D, it says, consider this cross described in part C of the question between a mother and a father who can have a daughter with that. It says, what are the expected genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring? So now we throw these two together and we use both ratios. And we say, oh, sorry, little x, big Y, big X, big X. And so when we put those through, the females will all be heterozygous, and the males will all be homozygous dominant. So none will have the disease. There's a 1 in 2 will be male, 1 in 2 will be female. And then for the daughters, they will be heterozygous, and for the males, they will be dominant. And that's all.
Okay, so I have the next one. I have number 4. This one says the presence of a breeding species of goats is determined by an autosomal gene that is dominant in males and recessive in females. So we know that it's not sex limited because it's an autosomal gene. And then we know since it's dominant in one sex and recessive in the other, it's going to be sex influenced. So based off of the reading and looking at that example right there, I was able to come up with this. I don't know if you can see it or not. Hopefully you can. But the big B refers to that the male is dominant and will have a beard. But for females, means that she's recessive and she has to be homozygous recessive to have, was it no beard? Or beard. Beard. She has to have beard. So for the first one, it talks about how you need to have 3 males that have a beard and then one with no beard. So I plugged it in with this Punnett square and I was able to figure out how to do it. So there has to be a big B for 3 of them, and then the last one has to be 2 little b's for no beard. So then for the next 3 bullet points, you have females. So you have 1 female with a beard, and then 3 females with no beards. And it's the same process of just using the sex influence inheritance. So you go through that all the way down. Hopefully you can see that and understand what I did. If not, you can pause the video, take a look at it. But that's all I got. So yeah, that's it.
So I suppose it's my turn, and I actually had a really hard time, and I checked one of my answers with Kyle, and so I was kind of hoping we could do like a group thing on this one because I don't understand anything in this section. I also haven't had time. It's my bad that I haven't done that. So I don't know. What do you guys think about holding off on this part and doing it later, like later this afternoon, and I could just talk with Kyle and we can record this last section? Or I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I didn't know that we had to do more, like all the problems. I thought we just chose one and then presented it.
Yeah. Ideally, like I don't know how people are doing this with 2 people, because if you only have 2 people, that means everyone has to, like, both person has to do 2 and one person has to do 3, or they split up like that. And are you talking about 1 or 2 problems in each question, Ashley?
Yeah, I'm talking about you just choose the one question and then just work on that one presentation. You don't do all of the problems in the homework.
Oh, for the group homework?
Yeah, for the group problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the understanding. I didn't get to number 5. I honestly haven't had time to do any of them. And so I was just supposed to do number 5, and I haven't done it. That's my problem. I haven't had the time. It's been really busy at my place. So, and that's my fault. I should have allocated my time better. So that's kind of what my solution to my lack of working on this. 'Cause I had another group meeting this morning, and that's why I didn't get to work on it from this point on. I just got home around like 10:30. So, and then so we could just add this little part at the end for the live person for Kyle. Are you able to do that, Kyle, or not so much?
I don't know how to do it.
I guess we just make 2 posts.
Okay.
You want to? I'll post.
And then in the reply, could post your question.
Yeah. And then for number 5,
Okay.
because I don't know how to record on Google Hangouts, so I don't know how that would how that works. So can I just get with you later today, Kyle? Unless you're really busy.
I'm gonna be
busy.
For sure. And so I'll just figure it out then, and I'll post it on the end of ours.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't have anything to do until like 4, so I was gonna spend the rest of the day doing this. I'll figure out this this concept and figure out this homework, and then I'll post it on the end of that. And then you guys can watch number 5 if you guys want to, or get some more explanation on that. Sound good?
All right.
All right. Well,
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.